Hi everyone, it's Nancy from Papercraft Arts. I'm here to share with you another little project. Actually, it's an alternative method for making ephemera slides. You can also call them window pockets, window tags. I wanted to show you a few that I made first. This one is like an ephemera slide, and as you know, many people have done videos on this. For example, Tracy Fox and Artie Mays has made them. I think my porch prints had a video on them, so they're definitely not my idea. It's just that I wanted to show you an alternative way of making these, and some little tips and tricks along the way. Some of these inside are Tim Holtz die cuts. This is a fun one that I did with sequins in it. And this one with a rose. And this is just thin cardstock that I covered with old music paper. And that's what I did for the back. But I probably use this as a tuck spot, so you won't even see the back. And there's this one. It's more of a shabby chic look. And on the back of that, I stamped on it. But again, like I said, I'll probably use this as a tuck spot in a journal. And these I made up as pockets. Put a notch at the top. And here's another one with a bird. And that's it. I think my favorite one is the mushroom. This will probably be a tuck spot too, even though it's smaller. And let me just get out the ones I was gonna show you today. How to make this one. And I was also going to show you how to make this tag shape one, like this one, and then one that looks like the mushroom, which is right here. So we'll set those aside, so I have them right here at the ready. For the acetate, I used, this is Graphics, Grapphix acetate. It's fairly thick. I bought it a long time ago to make, when I was making cards, using acetate. So it is fairly thick and durable. I also tried just regular packaging. This is real soft and pliable. It's just a bag I cut apart. That was, and this worked just as well as the acetate. I would suggest, if you're going to sew around your tags or your windows, I would suggest using the softer packaging rather than this thick acetate. This thick acetate might break your needle. I didn't even want to try it. So also, if you notice on some of these, let me just put a piece of white paper behind them. On some of these, I get up here, you can see that I used some, I'm trying to get this wrong way, there we go. I used alcohol inks on the acetate on one side of it, just to add a little interest to it all. This is actually a pressed flower in here. And then I'll show you a more vintage look, like this mushroom, where you can see the acetate that I colored. I'm getting there. Everything's opposite. There we go. See the yellow coloring in the acetate, and then I stamped it with stays on ink, which worked really well. Didn't rub off at all. And I also used it in, I'll show you one more, in this butterfly one. See that? And I think it really adds a lot of interest to the window. So let me put these aside, and I will show you what I use to make these. Now, let's stay organized here. I used this. This is a We Are Memory Keepers frame punch board. Now, I realize not all of you might not have one, and I also realize that a lot of you have been hesitant about purchasing We Are Memory Keepers products because they didn't have good results with some of their hand punches. I bought this about 2 years ago, and it has worked just fine for me in making every one of these windows and window tags and ephemera slides that I just showed you. So if you have one, that's great. If you want to purchase one, Amazon has them for between like $17 and $20. If you go to the We Are Memory Keepers website, they are selling it for more like $27. So if you want to try one, you know, that's great, because I'll show you here how it all works. So why don't we start with this one, this small slide here. Okay, so this part is the punch that punches the frame, and this part right here is what cuts out the frame. These holes here, they start from 1/4 of an inch. You can go in 1/4 of an inch up to an inch. And this down here is 3/4. And each, you know, set of holes represents a different increment of measurement. Like this, the bottom one here is 1/4, then it goes up to 1/2, 3/4, and then an inch. So to make this, I folded it in half. And well, let me show you first how much it measures. 5 by 2 3/4. You can work with just about any size on this punch board. The only thing you can't do is you can't do a folded piece with a solid backing and a frame on the other side. It has to be all the way through if you're going to keep it folded. Now, to do one with a solid backing, then you'd have to cut that piece separately into 2 pieces and lay the frame on top of the solid piece of paper. So I'm going to fold this in half because I'm going to make one like this. And I'm basically just going to show you how it punches. I'm not going to go through cutting out the acetate and putting that in. But I am going to show you another trick on how I put the acetate in so the glue doesn't squeeze into my picture or my acetate. Okay, so you have this piece and it's folded in half, and I'm trying to decide which side I want to punch. I guess it doesn't matter. Okay, so in this one, this edge, and this edge is 1/4 inch. This bottom edge is 3/4 inch. So you take your folded piece, and these little bars pop out. So I'm gonna set these in the 1/4 inch holes to make these 3 sides. So I make sure that my paper is facing the right way. It's facing up because that's where I want this top 1/4 inch. I want it up. So I slide it in there and punch. Okay, so that cuts out one corner of the frame. Then I turn it, because like I said, this is my top. I want to finish cutting out this corner. So I turn it and I punch. Okay, so now I've got the top part done. Now I need to do the bottom part, and that's where it gets a little tricky. In order to have a 1/4 inch side and also cut 3/4 inch down here, I move one of the bars up to the 3/4 inch holes. So now I've got 1/4 inch, 3/4 inch. So I take my slide and I face it, the part where I want the 3/4 inch towards the 3/4 inch bar. So essentially it's gonna punch 3/4 inch here and a 1/4 inch on that side. So I slide it in, punch, and see you have the 3/4 inch here, the 1/4 inch here. Now to do the other side, you flip it over. It's that simple. And punch. So that's what you get after you punch. Okay? Now you move it over to this part, which is where you cut the rest of this frame out. Now this bar here, it works just like these. There's a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, and inch. On 3 sides of this, I want to cut a 1/4 inch, and then on this part, I want to cut 3/4. So I'm going to put it in the 3/4 inch holes. Take out my little cutter, which has a little guide, circle guide at the bottom, and then the blade. And I'm going to slide it under the bar and then set my blade and cut the rest of that. Okay, now, whoops, now I move the bar to a 1/4 inch to cut the rest of the frame out, which is this bottom set of holes. Turn it on the 1/4 inch side, slip my cutter in, and cut. And then same thing on this side. Oops, moved. Should have been holding it. And then same on this side. This pops out, and there you have your frame. And now, as they say in the directions, there will be some notching that might occur. Let me get my scissors. I'll try to show the notches, if you can see up close the notching. I'm not sure if you can. I'm not good at this. I can't think backwards. But there'll be a little bit of a notch. So I just trim that out. There's not one on this side. A little bit of one here. And a little bit over here. You want to try to hold it together when you cut. And that's all it, that's just a tiny sliver I had to trim off. And then I cut my acetate. Usually I cut it smaller than the bottom here. Okay. And maybe bringing in about a 1/16 of an inch around the 1/4 inch sides. And then I put acetate on this side and this side, and then I put my image in. Now with the image, I would use some, either this 3-in-1 clear glue by Beacon, or the Fabri-Tac, which is also by Beacon, to glue down the image to the back of the acetate, knowing that I was probably going to use it as a tuck spot, so you wouldn't be able to see it. But you can't see it on this slide anyways. This is actually glue. It got stuck on the outside. But I'll show you another image. You really can't see the glue too much. Here's another one. Here you can hardly see it at all. So if you're, you want to use it as a back and a front, in your journal so people can see the back and the front, this glue will dry real clear and you really can't see it. Now I didn't use a lot either. I would use small dots around the image, just a few to keep it, in place. So that's the first one. Now, I didn't show you the last part. You can also round the corners of this with the punch board. You take these plastic markers out, and you'll notice on the board there's these 2 sets that are don't match up at all with any measurements, and that's for rounding your corners. So you move both of them and put them both in those 2 sets of holes. Slip in your slide, making sure it stays together, folded right, and then punch. And you can round all the corners if you want. I think it does a great job, and you can make so many of these so quickly. When I did my aviary journals, I made window tags, and it seemed to take me forever because I cut the holes out with an X-Acto knife, and I had to do a lot of measuring, and it was, not tedious, but it took a lot of time. So that's the first one I wanted to show you. The second one is, I'm gonna stay organized here. This one is the mushroom. It's a little longer, but it's basically the same. This one I used some tag board, real thin tag board, that I covered with some old music paper. Now, if you're gonna punch your frame folded and not as a single sheet, you don't want to use a real heavy cardstock because it won't punch through the real heavy cardstock. This is quite sturdy once I put the music paper on it. I mean, it is quite sturdy, and it will cut through this because the music paper is fairly old and brittle. So I'm gonna fold this in half. And I like making my folds on the side, but you can also fold it, make the fold at the top as well. So, where's my fold folder? And you see how brittle the music paper is because it cracked when I folded this. So in this case, maybe so that wouldn't happen, I would probably cut this piece in half, trim up that edge, and cut these two pieces separately. But for today's video, I'm just going to keep it folded. So on this one, this side is a half an inch, half an inch, half an inch, and this is an inch, I believe. Yep, this is that's an inch. So take my markers, and I'm gonna cut the half inch, start out with the half inch, which is this second, or this set of holes right here. The measurement marks are on the board. Can't see them real well because they're not colored, but you know, you look close enough, you can see them. Okay, I folded it in half. I'm making sure it's facing me, facing the right way up. This is the top, this is the bottom. I slip it in there, and had to stand up for that. Flip it over, or not flip it over, but turn it. And you want to turn it so the bottom is facing the inch marker. Okay? This is going to cut in an inch, and this is going to cut in a half an inch. I think that's, yeah. There's my inch, and there's my half an inch. Flip it over, and then punch. And now we have to cut out the frame. Okay, so we got our cutter, and our frame came in a half an inch, so I'm going to put this at the half inch set of holes. Slip it under there. Make sure my blade is facing the area I want to cut, and this goes in the groove here, and cut. And then I have 3 half-inch sides to cut. And when you put in this little thing in your groove, you also want to make sure that the blade gets set right in that groove, right below that cut there. Sometimes it'll get a little hung up above that and it won't cut right. And here you go. And one just like this one. And then, of course, we're going to round the corners. So we move our markers back to that very first set of holes. And you can also use your own corner rounder if you want. This is just real handy to have it on the board. And here you go. And like I said, there's a bit of notching there. You take your scissors and you trim it like that. Okay, so that's the second one. Now, with the tag, this one right here, this tag, I folded it at the top, but I'm sure you could do it sideways too, either way. But I just wanted to show you, you know, how you can, it works both ways. My butterflies will be upside down on the back of the tag, but that's okay. I want to make sure that it gets folded real even. Okay, and the margins on this one, we have an inch here. I made this top 3/4 of an inch, and then I made the sides a 1/2 inch. Okay, so one set of holes I'm going to set at a 1/2 inch, and then another set of holes I'm going to set at this depth, which is 3/4 of an inch. So we're going to move that up to 3/4 and put this one at 1/2. And I'm going to make sure my tag is, you know, facing the right way. The top up here and the bottom down here. I slip it in there. So I have my 3/4 set and my 1/2 set on the side. And then I punch. Okay, now I flip it over to do the other side. Okay, so that's my top. See? Now my bottom, I have to move the marker up to 1 inch. Keep this one at a 1/2, but move this one to 1 inch. Okay, and I flip the card so the bottom is facing that way. So this goes up against 1 inch marker, and this is a 1/2. This is the side of it. I punch. Flip it over to the other side. Now, lift this up and move my punches out. They get piled up under there. Okay, so top, bottom, 3/4 of an inch, and a 1/2 inch. So I move over here. This is already set at 1 inch, so I'm going to cut that side first. And there you have your tag. Now we're missing these corners, but I wanted to tell you, this is what comes out of the middle. You can easily cut these down like this and make a small little tag to tuck in a pocket, or you can cut off this little tab, that little tab, and then the side. And you've got a little rounded corner tag. So nothing goes to waste there. Alright, so we're not going to round the corners of this tag because I'm going to put in those angle cuts. Now, another We Are Memory Keepers tool I use a lot, not this one, sorry, grabbed the wrong one, is this one. This is the one that has an angle and a photo corner. Okay, So I'm gonna cut the angle. I use this all the time when I'm making tags. And as simple as that. But I'm sure you've seen many crafters make them, those corners, just by snipping one end, okay, off at an angle, then flipping it over, and then following that little corner and cut along the little piece that you flipped over and put on this side. I wish I had, oh here, I'll show you. Just cut an angle, okay, like that, then flip it over and hold it up against the other corner, okay, hold it in place, and then cut along the edge of that piece so your angles match. Okay, so there we have this tag. Okay, now one more thing I wanted to show you. I thought to myself, what if I wanted to make like a frame for a journal page or something like that? Now I thought, wow, it'd have to go all the way through because I can't cut a frame on a folded piece of paper on one side with this punch board. That's okay. You can, always put them together with washi tape or another piece of a strip of paper or fabric to bind them together in order to make a signature to sew into your journal. But I thought, oh gee, it's big. How am I going to put it on this cutting board? So I just thought I would show you. This is a piece is 6 by 9 inches. And this is, I don't know, I think this is an inch. Yeah, this is an inch frame all the way around. So all you do is set your markers at an inch. Okay, so I've got my 4 corners punched. What you do in this case is you have to move the bar to an inch because that's the size, that's the measurement from the edge towards the middle. All you do is put half of it on the board, cut down till the end, then just flip it over and cut the rest. You have your middle cut out and your frame. So there's all kinds of possibilities with this. Okay, so that's that. Now let's set the punch board aside. And I wanted to show you how I put in the acetate on the frames, because it might be a trick that works for you. I have double stick tape. I have a lot of it in different sizes. I know you can get double stick tape at this is a fairly strong double stick tape. It's by Suk Wang, but there's also I've seen double stick tape available in Joann's, and I've also seen this red line tape, which is also very strong. And I got this years and years ago at Michael's. I don't know if they still have it, but this is also a very strong double stick tape. This size is a 1/2 inch. This is 3/4, and this is 1/8 of an inch. So what I did was find that's one thing also, a tip that I have for everyone is if you're working with acetate, you want to, now I can't find my square. You want to make sure that you work under a white piece of paper. Oh, here it is. There it is. Or a dark piece of paper, so you can see your acetate. I was working on a cutting board with a glass cutting board on top of it, and I kept losing my acetate squares that I had cut because I couldn't see them. So anyways, get back to what I was doing. So I put this 1/8 inch tape around the edge here, and to make sure that I got the frame on fairly evenly was I would take one, I would take the piece off the tape, uncover the tape on one end. That way it gave me a chance to place it so it's not all crooked. Then burnish that down a little bit, lift it up, and then I would pull the rest of the tape off. While still holding it up, don't let it fall down or get stuck on the other tape. Like that. And there you have your piece of acetate, nice and even all the way around. Now, what I did to close these up and to glue, I actually used glue, but I again put another piece of tape around one side. Okay, I'll do this on top of the acetate. You would think that it would make it thick, but it really doesn't add that much bulk. At least not for me, it doesn't. What that tape does is it kind of acts as a barrier to the glue, because I would glue the rest of this to close it, which was great. Then your glue doesn't seep in, you know, into the window. And then I close it up. And I don't have to worry about the glue seeping into the acetate. And there's your frame, all done. Okay, I did want to show you is I took alcohol ink and had a lot of fun with it, and colored some of the acetate I was working with. This is more of a vintage look. Here's one with some stamping. Here's some little pieces here. Here's another one of this, and I did both types, the soft acetate and the real thick stuff. It worked on all of them. You just color it. You can stamp over it, like I said, and it just gives a little interest to your image, like in this one. I think you can see that, the coloring in the acetate. So it's just another different way of doing it. And then I added the sequins, which I have an entire box of sequins, so I need to use them up. And I just took some, to glue the sequins, I used the art glitter glue because I can get a smaller dot to put them on, and put sequins in that one. So there you go. There's all my ideas. I hope you enjoyed the video. You have a wonderful day. See y'all later, and hopefully very soon. Bye. I wanted to show you some of the new products that I have in my shop. Some of them are real new. Some of them, they've been in the shop for a few months or a month, depends. But just so you're aware what I have these envelopes in my shop with the big window. Okay, and there's a lot of things you can do with these windows for your journals. You can fold them. Okay, they don't fold exactly in half and show the whole window, so you have to fold them unevenly on each side. It's that much and then that much, but that's a junk journal, right? And you can fold them and insert them like a signature. You can make a cut right here for the flap, so you have a flap on this side and a flap on that side with a signature. Make a pocket, okay? Or you can glue it shut and make a slip-in pocket. So that's these envelopes. And then I also have these really cool ones in my shop with the long flap. And this right along here above the gum line for the on the flap is perforated, so you can take this piece off if you want and use it in, on something else or as part of your envelope. We can decorate these with decoupage or collage or napkins and tissue paper, whatever. And then I have these envelopes. These are pretty cute. I love them. They're smaller. These measure 3 1/8 by 4 7/8. And here are some examples of how I decorated them. I did a little collage on this one, and this is a napkin with some labels. And then this one I stenciled. You can see that. And then I put a little part of a napkin right there. I used gel medium, and then this is a stamp by Tim Holtz. So we have that one, and then this one I just put a little embellishment at the bottom. So those are those envelopes. I also have these coin flips, which I've been carrying in my shop, but I also got the larger ones. These are the larger ones. The ones I had and still carry are these smaller opening ones. This is like a opening is about 1 inch and this is 1 1/4 inch in diameter, and this is 1.5 inches. So this gives you a lot more room to play with. They fold in half, but you can cut them like I did on this. And this one I put a pressed flower in it. This is a pansy. And then I just backed it with some coffee dyed paper. And I'm just adjusting my lamp there. There's a few other samples of this one. I just taped that in. This one's actually a digital that I cut out. And same with this one. And this one. And this one is, I actually folded this one. So I used the whole flip. This is a dried flower that I pressed. And then I started carrying charms. I seem to have lost a set somewhere. But I have leaves, a whole set of leaves in my shop. And I also give you, along with the charms, some jump rings. So I have all these leaves. I thought they'd be great for fall. Okay. And then I just got these. They took a long time to get here. And these are kind of fallish. And these come with jump rings too. Are acorns. I'll put a few in my hand and show them up close. They're so cute. I love them. So they're the acorns. And then the other one, I have these little mushrooms. They come with jump rings too. These mushrooms. So if you have any interest, I just thought I'd let you know that I'm carrying all this in my shop now. So take care. I'll see you soon. Bye.